Hey everyone, this is Lee from 3B Outdoors, and you are listening to the Tracks and Tackle podcast.
Hey folks, we got a good one for you today. Our guest is a good old boy. He's a local farmer and very involved with the community. We talk hunting, farmland, and local politics with Colby Snyder on this episode of Tracks and Tackle. So saddle up, you're not going to want to miss it.
Hey, hunting family, this is Tracks and Tackle, and we welcome you back to the show. I am the Arrow Eagle, Ron Menser, and we got a pretty cool episode for you tonight. We're going to bring on our guy from 3B Outdoors, Chris Bookman, to co-host this one with me. Chris, how you doing?
I'm good, Ron. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great, man. Been excited for our guest here tonight. Want to sort of pass the mic over to you and let you bring him on, somebody that you know, and why don't you give the intro to our guest?
All right, sounds good, man. Yeah, I got my buddy, co-worker, and hopefully future hunting partner here still, Colby Snyder, coming on, local farmer, local legend. What's up,
That's right,
good, buddy?
What's going on, buddy? How are you?
I'm just enjoying the sun being up a little longer. You know
it.
Feels a little bit weird recording with the sun on. It's usually dark at this time of night, and we had the time over change, and I was just thinking that too. I'm like, man, I should be outdoors right now.
Yeah, you might hear my kids running around outside. They're out there just tearing up the yard and having a good time, doing what they're supposed to do, right?
That's right. Better them than us, I guess. But
yeah,
that's right.
You want to jump into it?
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. So Chris tells me you're local farmer, outdoorsman, and we were just rapping a little bit before we got in here, but for the listeners and the viewers, why don't you give a little bit of your bio, Colby, and tell them a little bit of what you're about?
Yes, sir. Well, first of all, I want to say thanks for having me. But I live in Littlestown, Pennsylvania. I've farmed my whole life. I'm 22. I am the sixth generation to farm my family's ground, and altogether we have about 200 and maybe 20-ish acres or so. But here at my house is about 100 and just roughly around 130. They had cattle way back in the day before I was born. Nowadays we only farm like corn and soybeans and wheat. So you know what they say, can't go on vacations if you got things to look after, and I like to vacation.
Right on. That's true, man. Farmers' Day is never off, man. They don't get holidays. They don't get vacation days. They don't get a sick day when you're tending to livestock.
Colby's a tropical cruise guy. He just got back from one.
Oh, that's right. I love cruising.
Where do you go all the time, or?
I've been trying to hit a couple a year. I think I have maybe one or two more planned yet this year. Try to get out. It's different. So like, you can go to Ocean City. Okay, Ocean City from me is like 3.5 hours. You can go to Ocean City. If you don't have a place to stay during the summertime for like a week, you're gonna spend $3,000 or so on a hotel. Then if you have a family, now we want to go out and eat every night. Want to play mini golf. Want to get ice cream. A cruise, you could spend $1,000 or less a person. Get all that stuff included. The only thing you got to buy is your alcohol package. I mean, it's a no-brainer. And you get to go to how many different spots. All that stuff's included.
Where did you just go recently?
We left out of Miami, and we went to, where did I go? The Grand Turk, Amber Cove, and Nassau, Bahamas.
All right.
It was a pretty good time. Water was chilly, but the weather was nice.
Yeah, it's the right time of year to get out of the Northeast and get down in that blue water.
Yeah, tell me about it.
No doubt. So you growing mostly crops right now?
Yeah. So right now I have about 26 acres of wheat out, and once May rolls around, we'll run soybeans and corn in.
Yeah, it's starting to warm up. Hopefully we had a string of warm days here in a row. Hopefully that sticks with us a little bit and we do shift gears temperature wise.
I hope so. I woke up this morning, walked outside. I was like, oh my gosh, it's chilly out. This afternoon really shaped up to be nice.
It's nice now the sun's shining. I was out for work all day. Snyder knows some of what we do, and it was cold for a little while of it. And as soon as I get home, of course, it's nice, which I guess that's okay. But so
Yeah,
tell
we're
us.
negotiating. We're negotiating a trip up to camp and where our cabin's at. You know, you get any snow or anything. There's a section of the driveway. It's like a back road up into the mountain. And there's a section where it only gets like an hour a day light. You know, so if it's below freezing and it has snowed or there's ice on the like, you're not getting up
Yeah.
even with your four-wheel drive. And if you do get up, it's real sketchy at getting down. So it's been warm enough here that Brady and I have been talking about, you know, setting up a plan to get up there and cut some firewood and do some camp stuff, get it ready for turkey season.
Getting pumped up, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Snyder, talk about just growing up with all that stuff, with the hunting stuff and your family locally and your local ties to some stuff, and then we'll shift into some of the political stuff you got involved in, how that's changed things, buddy.
All right. Well, so growing up, I always spent a lot of time with my grandfather because during the summer, both my parents had to work. So my grandfather, he drove school bus and then came home and farmed. So I'd go over here, spend a lot of time with him. We'd go out, get in a tractor, go over to AgCom and get fertilizer, seed and stuff, and then come back here, just fart around. You know how old people are. They got all this stuff to do, but can only do so much. So you go, oh, let's fix the barn now. Oh, let's go cut down some trees. So you're always getting into something, but you grow ties with every other farmer in the area. So like over here, you got somebody whose farm's bigger than yours. Over here, you got somebody whose farm who's smaller than yours, and you just get to know everybody. After a while, somebody needs to borrow a piece of equipment or something. You need to take it over there, or you need to borrow something. It's like a big family, no matter where you are in this area, between all the farmers and stuff. But I started driving stuff. Like I started driving a car at 3 or 4 years old, and I used to drive all the time before I got my license. But
that's pretty young. That's really young.
Yeah.
Well, those donuts circles are behind your house. Is that what that's from?
Yeah, that's from my 6-liter. I don't want to talk about that.
So as you've grown up with farming and stuff, talk about how things have changed and, kind of hinted at it, but you actually ran for a political office up there by where you live to try to change some stuff and make some change. So talk about how these things have changed and you're shifting to that to try to make an impact on your community, bud.
Yeah, so when I ran for township supervisor for my township, and the only reason I did it was because my grandfather used to be county commissioner for the county that I live in, and he was like, you know what, you like to talk, you like to try to make a change, so I think you should run. So I was like, okay, I'll go for it. So I went out and ran, and the biggest issue in the area at that time was solar panels. All the farmers around here, well, I shouldn't say all of them, a lot of farmers around here want solar panels because they were going to pay you $1,000 an acre. So you have 100 acres, that's $100,000 a year. So it was like a 1,500 acre solar farm. All these farmers around here were going to get solar panels on their farm. Well, caused an uproar, and a lot of these people who lived in town and in these developments and stuff didn't want to see them along the road, trying to tell farmers what they can and can't do. So it started a big uproar back here in the township.
That doesn't work out well.
No, not at all, even though they didn't read the fine print. But anyway, so my grandfather was supposed to get solar panels. He had signed up as one of the farmers to get solar panels, and it was like 70 acres. So that was roughly around $70,000 a year. I mean, you can't make that farming what we do. It's hard. It's difficult unless you get some type of government subsidization. that's hard to get anymore. So he wanted the solar panels. All these people were coming and attacking me for it because as I was running for the town office, they were like, "Well, how do you stand on solar panels?" It's like, well, to be honest with you, I'm kind of in the middle because I think as a landowner, you should be able to do whatever you want with your own land. But I can also see it from the other side, like, no, nobody wants to look at these. But I still don't think you should be able to tell somebody what you can and can't do with your own land. So in the end, I lost. But that's the biggest reason that I lost was because my grandfather was on the list to get solar panels, and just because my last name is the same last name as his, that automatically means I want him. You know how that works.
Well, you get a little bit of name recognition if he was involved, in his day too. So there's the positive to that. But it raises a really interesting question when it comes down to landowner rights.
Yeah.
And we can take this conversation any direction that we want to go. But I think your position's right. At least from my seat, where you try to see it from everybody's perspective, because there's always two sides to the coin, two tales to the story. But from a property owner's rights, like if that's your land, you know, should you be able to do with it what you want?
Yes, sir.
You know?
That's kind of how I fall too. It's like, if I want to go out here and I want to put a big dirt track in over here in my field, I should be able to. If I want to open up a golf course, why can't I? You got all these junkyards down 97. Why
Yeah.
can't I do something that's going to make a little bit of noise? It's not going to look bad.
Yeah. We kind of hit on something that we're into anyways. You said about your grandfather's last name, your last name, and heritage and stuff. So that obviously resonates with us. But kind of piggyback off of that, Colby, and talk about, your family growing up hunting and having these farms. And, I say this in a polite way, but you're a good old boy, man. You're a redneck, dude. So let's get into that.
Yeah, you know what? So I honestly, when I was younger, I used to go hunting with my dad all the time. I never really shot anything until I was probably maybe 14 or 15 years old. I always just liked going out and sitting with him. I never really started to get into it till I was in my teens at some point. But it's like I was telling our friend here a little bit ago. I was like, we look at it this way. It's like you feed they no. Boy, I'm getting myself confused here. We feed them all year long, so they're going to feed me all year long. So if they're in here eating my corn, I'm going to be eating them all winter long, all summer long. And, being a farmer, as long as you get these special permits, technically you can go out and shoot them all year, donate them to a bunch of different places, whatever you want to do. But we only really shot them during the cold months, like actually in hunting season, because then you can let them hang out there and you got to worry about getting them in a freezer or cutting them up, quartering them up, putting them in a fridge or freezer somewhere. So much easier to do it that way. That's all I really ever did was deer hunt.
You got any funny stories or memories with your dad out there doing that? Anything stands out to you?
Oh my God! I mean, I don't know. One time, so over at my dad's house, he's got these four 25-foot telephone poles. Okay, and there's this big plywood box on top. So you got to climb up this ladder. It was getting close to dark. One night I was in a tree stand over yonder, and he was coming down off this ladder. Well, I had snuck over there towards this we call it the deer tower. So I snuck over there. He was coming down the ladder. He had the gator parked right at the bottom. By the time he walked down around the gator, I jumped out. Oh my God! Just about dropped everything in his hands. He was so pissed. I don't really have too many funny hunting memories or stories, but some of my ways are a little unorthodox. I'll just leave it at that.
Let me ask a question.
Yes,
And
sir.
that's right, because I know Chris is big on unconventional hunting, so that's right. It fits right in with what we're all about. But I'm also talking all the time about having a partner. You talk about your dad, you talk about your grandfather and stuff. When you go out and whether you're fishing, we were talking before the show a little bit about, pond fishing, in the area that we grew up in. Because I grew up not far from where you're at. It's so much better when you have a partner or a friend to do it with, So, was that your grandfather? Was that your dad, or their siblings or anybody like that? Like, what's your perspective on having a good hunting buddy?
Oh, I mean, so so actually, I do have a funny hunting story now that I think about it.
That's it,
So,
because those are the people that you share the stories with, or you make the memories with. It might not mean or matter much to me or Chris or the next guy, but you made that memory with somebody. That's why I bring it up.
yeah, so I used to go hunting with my dad a lot. Then once I moved over to my house, it kind of died down a little bit because he got surgery on his arm and couldn't go out as much. So right before I moved over here, my buddy Dalton started hunting with me all the time. He goes, "Well, did you ever go goose hunting?" I was like, "No." I was like, "Well, let's go." So he brought over him and my buddy Austin brought over all these decoys, and those two had these luxurious ground blinds. I mean, they'd be laying in them and pop up out all of a sudden. These guys give me two black plastic trash bags and cut a hole and like cut a hole in the face up here and kept making me pop my head out there like they can't see the color black. Like, what's the difference if I just cover up with a camo blanket, lay here in the corn stalks? I don't want to lay. There's snow. It's nasty out. Snow on the ground. Had rained for days. Oh my God, what a day! We didn't even end up seeing a single goose. I'm telling you.
I've never heard the whole color black thing, so that might have been the key to that.
I don't know. I have no clue. We didn't see one.
Well, sometimes when you're like the new guy to camp, if you've never done that before, there's always that like the hazing ritual to they don't know any better, so let me set them up in this spot and tell them to look for that purple bird fly through.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, I still got all his decoys, so you won't do any of that to me again. I probably got at least 2 or 3 dozen over at my dad's house yet. So
right on.
Talk about any challenges that's coming up here. I know you talked about it me with work. You are very political, so you can take this how you want. You and Ron might be best friends after this conversation, but talk about any political stuff with the political climate now. How's that's affected your farming and the hunting pressure in the area for you live?
Well, so far, I mean, 4 years ago, when Joe Biden got in the office, I mean, it was like overnight. Fertilizer used to be $200-300 a ton, and overnight, I mean, it tripled by 200-300%. I mean, yesterday I went over to I do business with this place called AgCom over in Gettysburg, and it get all my fertilizer and seed from them. But I had to top dress my wheat, so I went over there, got some fertilizer. I was like, well, out of curiosity, how much is it now? she was like, it's $550 a ton. So I was like, oh my gosh, still up. So far, Donald Trump, he hasn't brought it down, hasn't helped farmers out too much yet. But I think within the next couple months, he's really going to start hammering at this economy and start getting us back to where we need to be, because it's impossible to make money anymore. I mean, bag of corn costs, I don't know, anywhere from $300 to $450 a bag of field corn for good stuff. I mean, just can't afford it anymore. It's terrible.
I mean, I think you kind of just hinted at it, but talk about how that's affected what you plant and how your family operates now.
Yeah, so I mean, we used to plant corn and soybeans. Used to rotate every field for crop rotation every year. So every field that had soybean in last year would have corn in this year. It got to the point where it was just so cost ineffective to plant corn, because by the time you spend $350 on a single bag of corn that'll only plant 2.5 acres, you can buy a couple bags of soybeans that are only $80 a piece, that you have to do less work to. You don't have to put as much fertilizer in. You only got to spray them once or twice throughout the year, and are selling it on a good day $12 to $14 a bushel instead of $4.90 or whatever I made off corn last year. I mean, it's terrible. You just can't make do with it anymore. They used to say corn is the cash crop. It's not anymore.
Yeah.
Hey there, hunting family. It's time to give a shout out to a company that's been keeping our communities moving since 1995. I'm talking about Interstate Garage Doors. For nearly 3 decades, Interstate Garage Doors has been the go-to choice for comprehensive garage door services in South Central PA, as well as the surrounding Hagerstown, Maryland, and Martinsburg, West Virginia areas. And get this, they're not just any company. They're veteran-owned and family-operated, with a proud history of serving both residential and commercial clients. Their professional technicians are the real deal, offering top-notch installations from industry-leading manufacturers and expert repairs for all garage door makes and models. From residential garage doors to overhead doors and openers, Interstate Garage Doors does it all. So whether you're a hardworking contractor building homes or a homeowner looking for service or just needing an upgrade, you can trust Interstate Garage Doors to get the job done right. And hey, they're not just experts in garage doors, they're also experts in giving back to the community, sponsoring podcasts like Tracks and Tackle. Are you ready to experience the Interstate difference for yourself? If so, here's a little something extra for our loyal podcast listeners. Use promo code Tracks and Tackle when you contact Interstate so they know you heard about them here. Just visit igdoors.com today to get an estimate or request service, or give them a call at 717-263-3150. Don't wait. Take the first step towards a smoother, more secure garage today.
I also know you talked about it with me a little bit, but how does that affect, like, more me and Ron's world that hunts and stuff? How does that affect the stuff you see on your properties now, since you can't plant certain things, deer, turkey, whatever you guys might normally see? Geese this year for me, I was at your place and they flew everywhere but your house sometimes.
Yeah,
so
I mean, ain't got nowhere to hide. I mean,
yeah,
deer will eat the soybeans off, but not as, I don't think they like that as much as corn. I mean,
right. They'll go to those soybean fields, but they'll eat that corn. That corn's like, I've heard people say it's like candy. You know what I mean? Like if you take your kid and you take them to a candy store and you just let them eat nothing but a belly full of candy, like they'll actually get sick if that's all they eat.
yeah.
So it's not really good but the deer are gonna eat it, because if you take a kid and you say, here's a room full of candy, help yourself, like they're just gonna eat it until they can't anymore because it tastes so good.
Exactly.
So my understanding, and maybe you can, confirm that or not, but my understanding is that soybean, they're gonna go to those soybean fields whenever that's the only option. But once the soybeans are harvested or dried up, they're going to be in those cornfields.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, even groundhogs, like we got a problem with groundhogs around here. Trap one, next thing you know, they're digging another hole 20 feet the other way. So set a trap over there and then they're over here again. But it's like Chris said, come spring, once we plant beans around the pond, them geese will really be out there because they like to nip them right out as soon as they pop out the ground. I don't know why, but they like to nip them right out.
Yeah, they're looking for that green, easy pickings.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, deer are going to look for, especially at a place like Snyder's house, which our listeners can't see, but it doesn't look like it does around here. I mean, you can see the mountains and hills, but you have a big flat rectangle, right? Yep. There's not a lot of cover there. So when they plant soybeans, or if he has to plant like wheat, there's no cover there for stuff coming through. And you might see stuff crossing there. I've seen a lot of tracks and a lot of sign in his house, but I've never seen a deer there in all the time I've been hanging out and hunting with him.
Yeah, and like at my dad's house, it's like Roman hills. Like he's got 107 acres. It's hilly. You can tell how the deer are going to move there. I've lived here for almost 4 years, and I still don't. It's either early in the morning in the dark or late at night in the dark. They don't really come out here during the day.
They're patternable. Creatures of habit. It sounds to me like you do got a little bit of water there, at least in the form of a pond. But you all field, or do you have any? Like I'd imagine when you talk about your dad's property being up and down with a little bit of rolling hills, that's where you get some, the creek will run, gravity will pull the water down or whatever. But describe your setup there that you have where you're at.
My driveway is about a quarter mile long, and after that, it's like he said, it's wide open. There's a pond, like coming in my driveway to the left, it's wooded up around it a little bit, and it's got this huge island in the middle. And on the back side of it, it's pretty like marshy type.
Yeah.
The front's a little more open. It's like bigger. The back part of it's pretty small. But
your property, and I'm not saying it's negative, it doesn't look like it should be around here. It looks like it should be out west, Missouri or Iowa, flat with, some marshy stuff, and where there is water, it's real wet, but then it's just big, flat, and open.
Yeah, I take that as a compliment.
No, I mean, again, I'm not saying that it's cool. I mean, when you said, hey, come over and check this place out, and I've been to Missouri and Iowa, and that's what it reminded me of, especially the old outbuildings you have, which I'm into. Everybody knows me. I'm into the old stuff and all that stuff anyway. So that's just cool.
Right on.
But, one of the things that really struck me with you, Colby, is like, one of the first times I met you, you were like, come out here, check this. My place is your place. Let's make it happen for ducks, and let's make it happen for this. So that resonates with me. How's that with your neighbors and different farmers? Is that something you grew up with, or is that something you're trying to bring back, or is it just you?
No, it's so my neighbors across the street are Amish. So, I mean, a couple weeks ago, one of the little Amish boy came over here, was knocking on my door real early in the morning. I was like, what do you want? He goes, well, this is a pretty nice farm. He's like, you own it? I was like, sure do. He goes, well, we just wanted to ask before we came over here and just hunted. I was like, well, it's a good thing you asked, because it wouldn't have ended up so well if you didn't.
Yeah.
Those guys, I'm telling you, they are. I know some unlawful people when it comes to hunting.
They play by their own rules.
They do. They play by their own rules, and it's terrible. But a lot of these, like, there's a guy down the road who's got this big, nice pond in his front yard. Won't let nobody hunt there, nobody fish there. I had somebody coming out here last year that worked at a local tire shop. It's like, yeah, I mean, I don't care. He mainly wanted to like predator hunt and hunt the pond. I was like, I don't care. It's like, you want a deer hunt out here too? That's fine. I mean, most of the time I go to my dad's house, but like, yeah, it comes to a point. It's like we were talking about before we started this. Like, the more people you have, the less interesting it is around here. So it's like, oh, all my friends, Chris. I was like, yeah, come on out. I don't care. It's like, he texts me every time. I still come. I don't give.
Yeah.
Don't bother me.
It's well, we were talking earlier about, some private land, but when you let everybody and a brother come in and hunt it, it can ruin the hunt for you sometimes,
Exactly.
But then on the other side of it is, if you have the land, you don't want to hunt it or fish it all by yourself. You need that hunting buddy or the camaraderie piece, which I know is real important to Chris. You want to let some friends come in and enjoy the land with you.
Yeah.
I think it might take a year or two, and it might be this year. I don't know, but the stuff that we've talked about tonight, I think we could make that a cool spot to hang out. He does have a cool little garage man cave he's trying to work on that's right there. And, obviously people that know me, Ron, you know me, but I mean, it would just be the perfect little man hunt camp.
Yeah.
Whole building out there, big garage door. You got this big propane heaters rolling when I was out there with you. It's just cool. But, him and I have talked about doing like a big pit blind that you can cook in and hang out in. I mean, he's got the place, and that's just a rare thing. I don't know whether you realize that or not, Colby. It's just a rare thing. People aren't like that. People have their spots and they hunt, and they don't, just like you said about that neighbor down the street. That's where all the geese landed, by the way.
Yeah, you don't let nobody hunt over there.
Yeah, we saw probably 500 or 600 in one morning. Like they were ants to a picnic. But again, that
they know where they're safe.
Yeah, and that compounds what I'm saying. People like that. People aren't like that. Come to my place, hang out. Let's do it together. And even me that has property, my family has property. That's hard for me to say that to people too, because you never know. It only takes that one person, but it's special when people want to do that. So
yeah, and at the end of the day, it all comes down to trust. Like, I know I can trust you. I can tell if I can trust somebody anymore through the things I've been through in life right away, or as soon as they start talking to me. I mean, you can tell if they're a trustworthy person. Like,
I didn't mess with you too much when I was field training you, did I?
Nah, not at all. I wish those days were still going on.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Fun days.
Well, I think you're hitting on something there, Colby, when you talk about trust. Because like Chris said, it only takes one fella to ruin the experience for everybody.
Yeah,
And there's two things that are important to me. Like, don't lie to me, and don't steal from me.
exactly.
You know what I
100%.
mean? And I think I'm pretty reasonable guy on most everything else. But if you do one of those two things, you've absolutely lost my trust.
Yeah.
Me
And
too.
you want to hunt and surround yourself. I mean, even in everyday life, you want to surround yourself with people that you don't have to worry about that sort of thing. That you can trust and build lasting relationships with those type of folks.
100%.
What's your goals for this year, man? What are you trying to get into, farming wise, hunting wise, life wise? What's up, man? What are you trying to get into?
Oh, well, to be honest with you, don't really know. Just gonna come May, gonna start planting corn about mid-May. Have a wedding out here at the end of May. It's gonna be like 250 people, so that's gonna be insane. So I can't really plant soybeans in some of these spots until after they're done. But after that, I don't know. I'm gonna have some probably some big parties. Maybe I don't know. I always throw some big ragers out here.
Do you party? I didn't know about that. I'm with you.
I love
Hard
the
to
party.
picture that happening.
I love the party. You should hear some of our talk sometime at work.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
remember what we're wearing right now.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I love to. I love to party. Love to just go out and spend time with my friends. So like during the summertime, I always go to bike weeks. I have a motorcycle. So go on cruises. Probably gonna have some big like life changing events at work. Certain things I have to do. I don't know. Just taking it day by day at this point.
Yeah.
Nobody's here to tie me down. Nobody can tell me what I can and can't do. So
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit it on the head, dude. Just having a good time. Whether that's partying or whether it's just hanging out with your dudes. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be. And in one aspect, you kind of have what a lot of people want. You have a farm, you can sustain yourself and work, and you have the other job with me that you work at. But it's, you got a cool setup over there, man. And what advice would you give to other people that are trying to get into this or thinking about getting in or out of farming, or what would you say to them?
oh, well, I mean, you want the honest answer or you want the non-honest answer? I mean, if somebody came up to me and told me they wanted a farm, I'd tell them to go for it. Like, do it to your heart's content. But you gotta put your whole heart in it. Takes a lot of money. I wouldn't do it unless you have some sort of deal, or I wouldn't go out and buy some farm for $1 million because you'll never be able to dig yourself out of that hole.
So
Never, like,
yeah, let me parlay that into another question because it's an interesting question that Chris brings up. We think of things generationally, and I think even when you came on and were introducing yourself, you were saying you were so many generations, being on the farm. We were primarily an agricultural society at one point in this nation. Then we had an industrial revolution. But nowadays, like, farming is it's like a pastime, to do it for a living, and really take it serious.
100%.
But on the other hand, what's become very popular, with people that run our circles and people that would listen to a show like this, is like homesteading. Like, people, because of the government overreach, because of the past 6-7 years of crap that we've just lived through, people are saying, how do I get self-sufficient? How do I learn to live off the land a little bit? Like, that's trendy. And so why don't you talk to me, at least give us a little bit of your take on that? Because yeah, if somebody wanted to farm, it's rewarding, but it's hard work. And so, like, from a homesteading perspective, I see a lot of people from the city wanting to try their hand at it, and it's not for everybody.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and I mean, I think at the big point of that too is people don't realize how much work like it actually takes. You want to go out in your backyard, or you want to go out here and start a garden or something. It's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
you got to go out, and you got to pull the weeds if you're really that dedicated. You got to water it if it's dry season. I mean, for example, like we plant sweet corn. For a pound of sweet corn, I think for about a pound of sweet corn, it's almost $75. Like sweet corn seed, it's almost about $75, and that's not them little packets that you get from like the hardware store. Like this is good stuff. It's like, why should I go out here and spend $75 on sweet corn when I go in here to like Walmart or the local grocery store and buy it for $2-3 a dozen? Like it doesn't make any sense. But and in the same aspect, it's like, okay, you plant it, tastes better. Same way with like raising cattle, pigs, anything like that. It's like
Yeah.
you said earlier, you kill it yourself, it always tastes better. I could go in here, buy some ground beef from the grocery store, or I could hit a deer with a $2 bullet and call it a day. I mean,
I'll say this, it is hard work, so I've got a little bit of the skill set to, like, we do our own garden, and we do as much as we can on our own. We can food. When I say we, it's, my wife does a lot of that work too. I can't take all the credit, but it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of dedication to see something, to plant something, nurture it, see it grow, and then harvest it and set yourself up so that you have storage, a backlog of food, to feed yourself. But if you're built right, like mentally, if you're built right, there's something like deeply rewarding
Mm-hmm.
with doing it yourself, whether it's,
100%.
cutting up your own meat or, canning your own food. It goes a long way when you say that, and plus there's peace of mind. Like, I know where this came from.
Yeah. I think to piggyback off of that too, like, Colby, you might agree with this. I think you will. But I grew up on farms, working on farms, like grandfather's farms, and as hard as it is, it wasn't hard work for me. Like, even as physical as it was fun. I enjoyed doing it. Like, there's something about it that is rewarding and fun at the same time, no matter how hard it is, because you're doing it for you or your family or whatever that is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't give it up for anything in the whole world. I wouldn't.
I remember looking back now, man, and especially because we might get into altercations at work. It's not, we don't do anything physical at all, really. I mean,
No.
you got to make yourself get up and walk around to do something physical, and
It's like your average 9 to 5, except it's your average 8 to 8.
yeah. So, but I look back and I remember thinking, man, some of these days that I had on the farms growing up when I was a teenager or a young kid, that I thought was hard, I would give anything to go back. And then we sold one of the family farms, the working farm we don't have anymore. And there's not much in this world outside of giving up my kids that I would give up to go back to that and have that and just get on the tractor again, or get up in the hayloft, or, feed the cat, do whatever, and, you look back, as hard as it wasn't hard. It was enjoyable. It was rewarding. So there's something to be said to that, and to keep wanting to do that and to hold on to that,
Yeah, well, hey, come over here this spring and throw some straw bales for me.
Listen, I got 2 strapping young teenage sons that would.
That'd be good for your boys to get out there and bale hay and stack hay bales. That's honest work right there.
I might take some of that back to that part, because there's nothing worse in the world than when you're taking a break from stacking hay in a barn, got a little bit, and here comes the hay cart again, and you thought it was going to be another 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You're again, and you're blowing hay and straw dust out of your nose for 2-3 weeks. And I actually saved my brother's life when we were kids. I was probably 13 or 14, so he was probably 10 or 11. We were stacking hay, and we were about 40 foot high up in an old, the farm that we had an Amish built, no nails, just the wood pegs, and you got something out of your place, and just the big tall hay loft. And we were up at the top, and he stepped wrong, and I grabbed him by the belt loop, and it was something that didn't even really stand out to me. He brings it up all the time. He's like, dude, I would have been splattered, but there's something about that growing up with that you can't relate to anybody else. You can't get that from Walmart or McDonald's or, just those experiences and sweating to death. And I mean, I think my grandfather might have gave us $20 for the day back then, and
you can't buy that experience.
Yeah,
there's no doubt. And even growing up, like my dad worked construction, and if you've been around me long enough, or if you grew up around me, when we were young, like once we reached a certain age, there was no summer vacation. It was, you went to work. When you got out of school, you went to work, and I might have only been carrying lumber, and so my cousin Matt and I, Matt's on the show all the time, like we would work, with his dad and his grandparents, and my dad, my brother, and we were always on a construction site. And when we started, all we were doing was carrying lumber pile, and we can literally say we carried a house, where the lumber was dropped on one side of the house, and we carried the entire house one board at a time, around to the other side. But doing that work when it sucked while you were a kid and you didn't really appreciate it, looking back now, like I really appreciate that my dad made me go to work.
Yeah. That's a lost art with a lot of stuff. And I remember my dad was the same way. And, I did odds and end jobs, and there was a little local farmer real close to us. I'd help feed he was older and retired. He was probably in his 80s when I was 10, 11, 12 years old. And I would just go help him feed his sheep, and he had like a rescue farm. So if people that had show sheep or show horses, he would take them and just take care of them. He gave me $5 a day back then to just come feed them and stuff. But I remember my dad waking me up when I was probably towards the end of that 12 or 13, and he said, "You're going down to Pap's farm," my grandfather, and he had greenhouses in the wintertime to sustain the winter.
Mm-hmm.
He would grow, I don't know if you know or deal with any of these at all, but he would grow like plug tray plants, Snyder. So they would start the plants in greenhouses. They would start tomato plants. I don't think they did corn, but they would start certain plants in a greenhouse, and they had planters back then that wouldn't grow from seed. Had a machine would drop that in the ground.
Like strawberries?
Yeah, he never did strawberries, but very similar to like strawberries. Yeah, stuff like that.
I worked on a berry farm at one point.
Yeah, very similar to that, and he also grew flowers and hanging baskets. And my job was, again, 12, 13 years old, standing in front of this big, aluminum Tractor Supply basin. I'd mix soil all day. And I was like, man, this would be a lot easier if I sat down. And he goes, well, you can't do it sitting down, but I remember to this day, I would give anything to go back. If somebody said you could do that for 8 or 12 hours a day, I'd high five everybody all day.
And well, kind of going off what you said, I think like the job I do now it's not bad, but it's hard to be inside all day long.
Yeah.
When I know I want to be outside, so it's like, oh, I've had those thoughts lately. It's like, why is this what I really want to do? Like, do I really want to do this when I know I really want to be outside and farm or be in some type of like ag business? Or it's hard, man. I'm telling you.
Especially this time of year, because it's it's getting light longer.
Yeah.
It's not freezing anymore.
Yeah.
I don't mind being indoors whenever it's December and it's freezing rain. It's 28 degrees. But this time of year, man, I miss being outside working in the sun.
Winter time, I don't mind being inside. But
right.
I mean, it comes to the point. It's like, okay, now it's starting to get nice out. You're inside. Being inside all the time is already depressing. You're already in a negative place. It's like, man, I don't.
Well, that goes back to like our human nature. That's what we were created and made to do. Go out and get your food, whether you're harvesting an animal or. I actually can't believe I just said harvest animal because I hate saying that. We kill animals, but like whether you're doing that or harvesting food or whatever like that, that's what we're made to do. That pool is real, and to go out there and split wood and make things and make a sustainable thing. That's literally in our DNA, So it's a hard thing, man.
It's created to do this.
Yeah.
Well, cool, Colby. Listen, hey, man. For our listening audience that run with us and stuff, everybody that comes on the show, you become part of the family. So you're in now. But I think Chris touched on this earlier. But if there was one thing, if there's one thing that you wanted to leave, from this show, this episode, this interview, that you wanted to leave, one word of advice on the lifestyle, just being a good old boy, growing up on the farm, doing things in an unconventional way, what would that lasting piece of advice be?
Don't take nothing from nobody. If someone tells you to do something, you do it the way you want to do it. Don't let somebody tell you how to run your show, your farm. I mean, just put your whole heart into it. Do it how you want to do it. But you know what they say, you got to go into debt to get ahead. Don't go into too much debt. That's the biggest thing. If you can still use the equipment you got or older equipment, use it. We don't have nothing new. I think the newest thing we have is like a 2017 loader tractor, but the rest of the stuff is from the 70s, 80s, 90s technology. It works.
I'm not trying to put your business out there, but he was like, come look through my barn. Look at this cool stuff. Look at all this stuff in here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, if you can repair it and if it's functional, that's one thing. A couple of years ago, we had my wife's cousin was here helping me. He was staying with us for a short period of time, and he was helping me, do some stuff in the yard. And we were down in the garage and had an old sprayer and hose broke, and he was just saying about, well, we can just go out and buy a new one. I said, well, there's enough crap in this garage that we can figure out a way to fix the hose on this, but he was young. And now I look at him and, he's running his own business and he's building homes and, running a construction business. And he's got that skill set now where fix it if you can.
Oh, 100% of it. You take care of it, it'll take care of you. I mean, at the end of the day, that's how it's going to be. Awesome.
Well, tell people where to find you on Instagram. You got a pretty big Instagram following, dude. So
I don't think so. It's only like 700 people, dog. 700 or 800 people.
For just a regular guy around here to live in life, that's pretty rad, dude.
Yeah.
Well, half of those people are from like overseas because of the last job I did.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to get you pumped up. He worked at the park for a little while.
Yeah, that's where most of the people are from. I had a lot of friends at the Hershey Park, a lot of friends, like international students that would come over from overseas. So
yeah,
that was the best job of my life, to be honest with you. I love doing that.
Yeah,
easy going. So where can folks find you if they want to connect and hear more of your stories? Where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, the Colbs007, Facebook, Colby Snyder. Have Snapchat. That's the same thing. The Colbs007. That's about all I'm on. I have Twitter, but I've never on. I don't even know how to work the app. I love Facebook though. That's my go-to app.
Yeah. Well, you guys will see pictures, man, because I take a lot of pictures. Your property looks cool, and I'm not taking anything away from it. I mean, like, it is a perfect place to take pictures. I mean, some of the pictures I posted of my sons out in the water out there, it's just cool. So anybody that follows us or even the Tracks and Tackle stuff, I tag Ron in. A lot of the pictures that I post are from your property, and we're going to get out there this year. You were joking earlier, Colby, but I told you I'd come out and help you with whatever you wanted. And who's your cat? Introduce your cat to everybody.
This is one of my cats, MG.
This is Mr. Whiskers.
Yeah, big old bobcat. A 9-year-old girl with cerebral palsy named him Magnifying Glass, so MG just always stuck around.
Okay,
that's cool. That's cool.
But you'll see us online, and Ron, I want to get you out there goose hunting this year for sure. We're going to get some stuff set up, and we'll have some Tracks and Tackle, some Menser, and some 3B content from Snyder Farms this year, dude. So
yeah, that'd be awesome, man. It'd be nice to come down and connect with you and carry on the conversation.
Yeah. Do you have a name for it? I never asked. Do you have a name for it?
It's a Snyder family farm.
Okay. Right on. You can always find it by all the Trump signs and political signs at the end of his driveway.
Hey, or the watch for motorcycle signs, because during riding season, I plaster them everywhere.
Yeah. Awesome.
Right on. We'll look for the sign that said Trump was right about everything.
That's right. He sure was.
You're getting close to the Snyder family farm.
You know it.
Right on, Colby. Well, listen, man, it's been cool catching up with you. Chris, as always, thanks for, always connecting us with interesting guests. And, you can always, if you're listening, you can find find Colby on all his socials. Be sure to check out 3B Outdoors. Send them your pictures, that sort of stuff. They are, let me see if I can find this link and throw it up for everybody. So 3B Outdoors Club is how you'll find them on their socials. But you got cool hunting pictures and stuff. Shoot it out to them, man. These guys love to post that sort of stuff. You can find us at Menser Outdoors or at Tracks and Tackle, either or. You'll find us at either of those handles. And like to always throw a shout out to our sponsors, Interstate Garage Doors. If you're in the area, you need a garage door worked on, service, repair, sales, they're the guys. They're the go-to guys. Go to igdoors.com and just tell them what you need. They're going to take care of you. Good folks over there at Interstate. So, all right, guys, appreciate you. Any lasting final words?
No, just stay tuned for what we're working on. Me and Ron are putting the final plan together for this big collaborative network. And, Colby, we'll have you back on because we're going to start doing some roundtable, just BS sessions on here and just doing what guys are supposed to do, offense, scratching around the fire, right?
I like to do that.
Yeah.
Guys being guys, having fun.
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, hunting family, appreciate you guys checking in with us. As always, we want to remind you guys to get outdoors. Nature is our playground, and always remember to stay wild.
Yeah, man.